Today we're going to continue to beat the summertime blues, and I'm going to do card sketch number 2 and number 3 to show you just how easy it is. Here I've pulled my second envelope of 15, and if you are just joining me for the first time, this is all about Kendra's card challenge number 11. I will link up top to the original video that spurred my Beat the Summertime Blues video series. And all of my pieces are already cut. Now with the card sketch, it's a jumping point. You can just use the pieces how you want, or you can stick to the card sketch and use the pattern pieces that you already have. As you can see, I also used an ephemera butterfly that I had in my stash, and I'm going to add that to my card, even though it is not on the original card sketch. Remember, this is all about being creative and just having a play at making a card when you may not be feeling so creative. As you can see, I have dug out my very favorite glue, which is Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. And that is my glue of choice. And I've decided to put my 4 little squares down on my larger 3-inch square. And now I'm just kind of fiddling to see where is it that I want on my card. Do I want this portrait or landscape? Just kind of working out placement at this point. The beauty of having these little envelopes made up is like you've got your own little card kit for when you just can't figure out what to do or you've got no inspiration. Even going above and beyond Kendra's card challenge, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't watched any of her videos, they're wonderful. She has wonderful sponsors and offers delicious prizes to increase your craft stash. But even if you don't want to do the challenge, this will help you to kind of get out of a rut. And gosh, the sky's the limit. You could add stencils to this, ink blend, additional stamps, other techniques, whatever you wanted to do, but it gives you a great starting point when you just don't feel like crafting. Here I am using my Tim Holtz design ruler, which is a fantastic ruler for helping you to find the center of your objects. So I will link that below along with any other supplies that I may use in this particular video, as I always do. But it's a fantastic ruler, I've got to say. I was skeptical at first, but I'm in love now. Here I'm just using some, I think, 1/8 inch foam strips that I got from scrapbook.com. Again, a fantastic little, gosh, this is still the first package I ever bought, and I've got scads left. But I love this sentiment, and it says, "Be who you are, because who you are is amazing." If that's not an uplifting sentiment, I don't know what is. I just put foam tape on the 2 ends, avoiding the center where the sentiment would cross over the already 3 layers of cardstock with the diamond. That way it is all at the same level. And then I'm just going to move up my little butterfly wings, kind of give them a little volume, and glue that down as well after I figure out where I want it. This card I made very simple and straightforward, only adding 1 piece of ephemera. I didn't add additional bling or techniques because I really wanted to showcase the fact that you can turn out a beautiful card without any of the fancy techniques. So even if you are a very beginner, you can do this. Hey y'all, I'm Wendy from Village Card and Craft, and I want to thank you so much for choosing to spend your time with me today. If you found any enjoyment or information out of my video, I would love it if you would give me a thumbs up. That helps YouTube know to distribute my video to others just like you. Also, if you aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It is free and it will notify you when I have released another video. Let's get back to the cards. With card sketch number 2 complete, we move to number 3. Now this one has a few more pieces and I'm going to go ahead and pull them out. And as always, I pre-cut all of my card bases and my layers, so I already know what I have to work with. Okay, so I have put the card sketch up at the top right, so you know how the card is suggested to be finished. I did have a card panel. I added additional kind of a scalloped layer. It's little dots, but I've got to decide, do I want the scallops going up or down? With the decision made, I'm going to go ahead and once again use my Barely Arts Precision Craft Glue to glue that layer down. Now this is a dark blue cardstock that I added a fantastic product by Picket Fenced called Paper Glitz. Now the color I used was Sparkle. And once again, I will link the short that I did on that up top so you can see how I put that sparkle on. Oh, it is amazing stuff, y'all. So definitely check that out. But it can add unbelievable shine and shimmer to pattern paper as well as solid cardstock. I'm going to place an acrylic block on top of my paper glitzed navy cardstock while I work with creating the banners for the 3 pieces of pattern paper that are going to go on this cardstock next. Looking at the sketch, you'll see that 2 of the pattern pieces of paper are the same, and then the one in the center is a little longer and of a different pattern. And I'm just going to use this banner die set that has some stitched edging and run it through my Platinum 6 die cutting machine to get that banner edge. Off camera, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the other 2 banners as well. Referring back to my card sketch, you'll see that the banners are actually placed to the left with a little bit more of the underlying layer showing on the right hand side. Now, I tend to be a pretty symmetrical person, so I ultimately decided that I am going to put these in the middle of my design, and I'm going to pop up that center floral banner with some foam tape. Adding some liquid glue to the back of your foam tape will give you just a little bit of wiggle room that you otherwise wouldn't have. Now, in order for my stripe now to lay flat, I need to pay attention to where it's going to sit on the card. And I'm just going to mark some tiny little marks with a pencil so that I know where to put foam tape. Remember that center floral banner is popped up, and then there's the blue dots, the solid blue, and the underlying scalloped layer to kind of go over. So I want to make all of that level. So I need to be able to just use foam where it's going to benefit. Now that my foam is attached, I've put down my strip and I'm just going to use the outermost circle to decide where I want to place that. Remember, the sketch is just a starting point. You can put it wherever you want. If you want to follow the sketch specifically, you can. I have a small sentiment there and a piece of ephemera. But the ephemera really is too large for this card, so I'm going to cut that outer coral layer off and just leave the yellow. The coral really doesn't go with the card anyway. Just cut up your ephemera to make it work for you. Remember that when you're fussy cutting, move your cardstock, not your scissors. You'll get a much smoother cut if you move the cardstock. I've chosen to darken up the petals of my ephemera, and this is fossilized amber, and I'm just using a small blending brush to do that. Now, really the sky's the limit. I kept these cards super simple this time with very simple techniques, but some other things that you could do. You could add pops of color or glitter stickles, or even use a Versamark pen and emboss the edges of the petals. You could run it through an embossing folder. That would be fabulous to add some texture to this as well. I wanted this card to be pretty flat because it's already quite heavy with the amount of cardstock that's on it, but really you could do any number of things with this. I'm popping my dark navy circle up on some foam tape to once again straddle that center band. And I've decided to lose the white layer that was included. It just didn't work with the design. And I'm just going to do the navy layer with the ephemera on top. Alrighty, before I show you those two final cards, I have linked in the bottom description box to Kendra's card challenge, as well as to several of the other videos that I have put out there for you, just so that you can find it easier if you haven't watched them. Here's the last two cards. I hope you enjoyed it. Help me reach that next goal of 2,500 subscribers, and I'll see you real soon.